What if Obi-Wan Kenobi joined Count Dooku in Attack of the Clones? This is part 1. If you would like to see the remaining parts, be sure to become a member of the channel as it really helps support the channel and grow, and you gain early access to my content. But let's get into it. As Count Dooku revealed the unsettling truth about the Republic being manipulated by a Sith Lord, Obi-Wan Kenobi felt a tumultuous mix of disbelief and creeping realization. How could the Jedi, guardians of peace and justice, be so utterly oblivious? The idea that they had been outmaneuvered and blinded was almost too painful to accept. Yet, as he reflected on recent events, the pieces began to fall into place, painting a disturbing picture.
Think, Obi-Wan. Consider the decisions of the Council, the inexplicable actions of the Senate, the escalation of conflicts that only serve to empower those in the shadows. Can you not see the dark hand guiding it all?
Obi-Wan's mind raced. He thought of the mysterious circumstances surrounding the creation of the clone army, the Jedi Council's often frustrating reticence, and the Senate's increasingly autocratic tendencies under Chancellor Palpatine. It was as if a fog was lifting, revealing a landscape marred by deception and corruption. The teachings of the Jedi had always emphasized vigilance against the dark side, warning of its capacity to cloud judgment and perception. Could it be that the dark side had grown so potent, so insidiously pervasive, that it had clouded the vision of the entire Jedi Order? The notion was terrifying. If true, it meant that the Jedi were not only failing to protect the galaxy, but were unwitting pawns in a larger, darker scheme. Dooku watched him closely, sensing the conflict within the Jedi Knight.
Obi-Wan, you have always sought the truth. You are known for your wisdom and your commitment to justice. The galaxy is on the brink of darkness, and it needs those who can see through the lies. Join me. Together, we can stop this Sith Lord and bring true balance to the Force.
The offer was tempting, intoxicating even. Obi-Wan felt the weight of the galaxy's suffering, the cries of those caught in the endless cycle of war and strife. If the Jedi Order was blind to the true enemy, perhaps it was up to him to step beyond the constraints of the Order to save the galaxy. Obi-Wan, wrestling with the magnitude of the decision before him, found his thoughts turning to his own Padawan, Anakin Skywalker.
And what of Anakin? If I were to join you, what would become of him?
Anakin's future would be brighter than ever. Your Padawan is unique, Obi-Wan. Qui-Gon saw something in him that the rest of the Jedi Order is blind to. He believed in the boy's potential, as do I.
Obi-Wan felt a familiar pang of guilt and worry for Anakin. He knew Anakin struggled with the rigid doctrines of the Jedi Order, often feeling constrained and misunderstood. The memory of Qui-Gon Jinn's unwavering belief in Anakin echoed in his mind. Qui-Gon had always been more open-minded, more willing to challenge the status quo. If Qui-Gon had seen something extraordinary in Anakin, then surely Dooku, Qui-Gon's own master, recognized it too.
You're saying you would guide him?
Yes. Under our guidance, Anakin can achieve his true potential, free from the narrow-minded constraints of the Jedi Council. We can offer him a path that truly understands and embraces his strengths.
Obi-Wan considered Anakin's recent frustrations with the Council, his feelings of being held back, and his sometimes volatile nature. The idea of Anakin receiving guidance that respected his unique abilities and challenges was appealing. It offered a chance to right what Obi-Wan sometimes feared was a failing on his part, the inability to fully understand and support his gifted but troubled apprentice. This revelation added another layer to Obi-Wan's dilemma. Joining Dooku was not just about exposing the Sith or saving the galaxy, it was also about saving Anakin. It was about ensuring his Padawan didn't fall through the cracks of a flawed system. In a galaxy where the Jedi seemed to be losing their way, perhaps this was the only way to protect Anakin from a fate worse than falling to the dark side, becoming an instrument of a corrupted republic and a blinded order. Anakin Skywalker, alongside Padme Amidala, found themselves captured and brought before Count Dooku. However, it was not Dooku who awaited Anakin in the dimly lit room, but his mentor, Obi-Wan Kenobi. The shock of seeing Obi-Wan, coupled with the uncertain fate of Padme, left Anakin reeling. Obi-Wan, with a seriousness that Anakin had seldom seen, began to unravel the truths that Dooku had shared. He spoke of the Republic's corruption, the Jedi Order's blindness, and the dark shadow of a Sith Lord manipulating events from behind the scenes. It was a narrative that shook Anakin to his core. challenging everything he had been taught to believe. Then came the offer: join Obi-Wan and Dooku in their quest to uncover the Sith Lord and bring true balance to the Force, or return to the Jedi Order without Obi-Wan. The decision was agonizing. The Jedi Order was his life, but it was also a source of frustration and confusion for Anakin. He had often felt restricted and misunderstood within its rigid confines. Obi-Wan's presence in this new alignment changed everything. Anakin had always seen Obi-Wan as a mentor, a protector, and a link to Qui-Gon Jinn, the master he never had but always longed for. Qui-Gon's belief in Anakin had been unwavering, and in Dooku, Qui-Gon's own master, Anakin saw a potential connection to the mentor he missed deeply. Anakin's thoughts were a whirlwind of emotion and conflict. The idea of leaving the Jedi Order was unthinkable, yet the prospect of a path that might better understand and utilize his abilities was incredibly enticing. The presence of Obi-Wan, the closest thing to family he had, only intensified the allure of this new path. Moreover, Anakin's feelings for Padme and his growing disillusionment with the Jedi's stance on attachments made the decision even more complex. The Jedi Order's prohibitions had always been a source of inner turmoil for him, and this new path promised freedom from such constraints. Count Dooku, with his usual air of aristocratic authority, entered the room where Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme were engaged in their momentous discussion.
Have we all reached an agreement?
Padme, ever the steadfast senator of Naboo and a firm believer in the Republic, reacted vehemently.
Don't listen to him, Anakin. He's a separatist, a traitor to the Republic.
Her voice was filled with urgency and fear, not just for the galaxy, but for Anakin himself. Anakin, torn between his loyalty to Padme and the revelations shared by Obi-Wan, tried to explain.
Padme, what he's saying, I can sense there's truth in it. The Jedi, the Republic. Things aren't what they seem.
But Padme was resolute, her faith in the Republic unwavering. She couldn't fathom the idea of aligning with someone like Dooku, a known enemy of the state. Seeking a more private conversation, Anakin led Padme aside. In a hushed, earnest tone, he confided in her.
I'm not rushing into this. I'm being cautious. But if what Obi-Wan and Dooku are saying is true, then we could prevent a greater chaos from engulfing the galaxy. We might have a chance to fix what's broken.
I trust you, but I cannot join you in this. I must return to the Republic. I must continue to fight for democracy and peace in the way I know best.
The decision was heart-wrenching for both. Anakin, faced with the possibility of a hidden Sith Lord and a corrupt Republic, felt compelled to follow this new path, however uncertain. Padme, with her unwavering commitment to the Republic, knew her place was in the Senate, fighting for the ideals she held dear. As Padme prepared to leave, their farewell was laden with unspoken fears and unshakable affection. They were parting ways, each on a divergent path, yet their trust and love remained a bond that transcended their choices. With Padme's departure, Anakin turned back to face Obi-Wan and Dooku, his decision made. He would walk this uncertain path with his mentor, seeking the truth behind the shroud of darkness that threatened the galaxy. Count Dooku, acknowledging Anakin's decision and Padme's departure, turned his attention to Obi-Wan.
Now, to ensure our success, there's one more ally we need to recruit. You must travel to Lotho Minor. There, you will find someone whose assistance is crucial to our cause.
Who am I looking for?
You'll know them when you sense their presence in the Force. It's a unique signature that you cannot miss.
Lotho Minor, a junkyard planet known for its hazardous terrain and inhospitable conditions, was an unusual place to find an ally. The planet's reputation in the galaxy was that of a forgotten world, a place where the discarded and lost found their final resting place. As Obi-Wan prepared for the journey, he couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Dooku's secretive nature and the unknown identity of this ally on Lotho Minor added layers of uncertainty to an already complex situation. However, Obi-Wan's commitment to uncovering the truth and his trust in his own ability to navigate the Force guided him forward. Anakin, meanwhile, watched his master prepare for the journey with a mix of concern and anticipation. This path they had chosen was fraught with unknowns, and each step seemed to lead them further into uncharted territory. Back on Sereno, Count Dooku's homeworld and stronghold, he began to lay the groundwork for building a unique relationship with Anakin Skywalker. Dooku, a former Jedi himself and once the Padawan of Yoda, understood the complexities of the Jedi mind and the internal conflicts that Anakin was likely experiencing. In their conversations, Dooku often reminisced about Qui-Gon Jinn, Anakin's would-be master, and Dooku's own former apprentice.
Qui-Gon had a way of seeing beyond the rigid structures of the Jedi Code. He understood, much like you do, Anakin, that the Force is not black and white. He saw its nuances, its vast spectrum.
These stories resonated with Anakin. Qui-Gon's belief in him had been one of the few sources of unconditional support he had experienced. To hear Dooku speak of Qui-Gon in such a way created a bond, a sense of shared understanding and purpose. Dooku then introduced a radical philosophy, one that diverged significantly from the teachings of the Jedi Order.
True mastery of the Force requires understanding all its aspects, Anakin, not just the light but the dark as well. It is the user who determines the path and nature of their power, not arbitrary rules set by the Order.
This idea struck a chord in Anakin. He had always felt restrained by the Jedi teachings, confined by their avoidance of the dark side. Dooku's words opened a door to a world of possibilities, a way to explore the full extent of his abilities without fear or restraint. This moment marked a significant turning point for Anakin. Dooku's mentoring, which now included aspects of the Force that were forbidden by the Jedi, promised a path to power and understanding that Anakin had long craved.